We have a small business that includes sauna rental services. Our sauna can be rented by the hour. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law has never had the opportunity to visit us, as she is always busy with various activities and responsibilities. But one day she called me and expressed her wish to come and warm up in our sauna. Being a relative, I responded positively and assured her that I would not charge her any fee. We agreed on a suitable time for her visit, and after thanking me, she concluded her conversation with me. When the day came, my mother-in-law arrived at our house, impeccably dressed as always, with her hair styled and wearing elegant shoes. I took the opportunity to tell her about the features of the sauna, starting with the locker room, then the showers, should she need them, and finally the sauna itself. I acted as a guide, showing her the different areas of our facility. She expressed her admiration for the surroundings, noting the beauty of the place. She asked me where I would be during her vacation, and I pointed to the corner where the computer was and explained that I usually sat there while customers enjoyed their sauna session. My mother-in-law nodded understandingly and continued to question where my wife was. I replied that she was home today. We are changing, working day in and day out. Hearing these words, my mother-in-law smiled enigmatically. This seemed unusual to me, and I decided to sit down at the computer to play a game. As I was engrossed in the game, I heard the sound of the shower my mother-in-law had turned on. I tried to put the thought out of my mind, but I couldn't help but think about her actions. I had a good relationship with my mother-in-law, and she had an attractive figure. We had a security camera installed, but it only filmed the hallway between the locker room and the steam room, not the sauna itself, as that was against the rules. Customers usually passed through the corridor wrapped in towels, and any unnecessary action was strictly forbidden. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to check on my mother-in-law. To my disbelief, I saw her walking leisurely down the hallway, unclothed, as if she knew I was watching her. What a mother-in-law, I thought. I watched my mother-in-law carefully, and I was struck by her majestic appearance. I couldn't help myself and swallowed nervously. The door slammed shut as the mother-in-law entered the steam room. I squirmed in my chair, feeling excitement and inappropriate thoughts swarming in my head. I sat like that for about 10 minutes, resting my head on my hands. Glancing at the monitor, I saw my mother-in-law peering out of the sauna and looking at the camera light. I felt like I was glued to the chair, so excited was I. She came out of the sauna and stood with her arms and legs spread apart, surveying her surroundings. I froze in front of the monitor in shock. I was just in deep shock. From what I saw, it is impossible to describe in words. I pondered what events would happen next. Victoria, that was my mother-in-law's name, turned her back to me. I concentrated on the computer screen because I had not seen such beauty for a long time. The situation was becoming unbearable for me. When I looked back, I saw her beckoning me to her with a wave of her hand. She glanced at me for a moment and then withdrew into the steam room. I felt restless and anxious. In an attempt to calm myself, I drank a glass of water, but it did little to calm my racing thoughts. In a fit of impulsiveness, I made a decision. I closed the front door, undressed, wrapped myself in a towel, and headed for my mother-in-law's house. As I walked, I couldn't help but wonder how she would receive me, given her penchant for jokes. My hands trembled slightly with anticipation. My thoughts were a mess as I cautiously made my way to the door to the steam room. I hesitated for a moment before peering inside with one eye to assess the situation. What I saw made me shriek with delight. Victoria was lying on her back with a terry cloth towel tucked under her, looking incredibly seductive. She gestured for me to join her, and I couldn't resist. Clearing my throat, I caught her attention. She was propped up on her elbow, her glistening skin covered in sweat. "So?" she inquired lazily, smacking her lips. "Do I seem attractive to you, dear son-in-law?" I stammered back, amazed at her boldness. I hadn't expected her to be so frank, especially in the presence of her son-in-law. Realizing the gravity of the moment, I approached her and what followed was a very intense experience. Despite the scorching heat, the sensation was exhilarating. I had never done this sort of thing in a sauna before, blurring the lines between work and relaxation. I stepped out of the steam room on wobbly legs and headed for a cold shower to refresh myself. Victoria didn't hesitate to join me, adding another thrill to the process. After washing up, I returned to the computer, absorbed in the enjoyment of what was happening. To my surprise, Victoria showed her mischievous side. While I was looking at the monitor, the door to the steam room opened again, and Victoria playfully extended her leg, inviting me in. Taking a deep breath, I made the decision to join her again. Rising from the chair, I cautiously checked the front door to make sure it was closed. After making sure no one would disturb us, I re-entered the steam room, where Victoria was waiting for me eagerly. We sat down on a narrow bench, having a hard time finding an empty seat. After about 10 minutes, we were both wet with sweat. I helped Victoria to her feet, patted her back, and then went to rinse off the sweat under the running water. After changing and getting some water, I sat down at the computer again, feeling tired. Victoria looked equally exhausted and didn't call out to me again. She spent a little more time in the steam room and then headed down the hallway, waving at me. As she disappeared into the shower room, I realized what a scandal would erupt if my wife found out. In a panic, I quickly deleted the files from my computer. The next few days passed in the usual routine of work. We serve a large number of clients and usually schedule appointments a month in advance. 5 days later, my mother-in-law contacted me again and asked me to make time in our busy schedule for a steam bath. I was shocked by this unexpected request, as I thought that such an opportunity would never come up again in my life. However, luck was on our side. Impatiently, I made arrangements to fulfill her request. I must confess that I was thrilled at the prospect. I purposely chose an evening time, closer to closing time, to ensure privacy and avoid any possible inconvenience. My mother-in-law and I spent an hour together in the steam room. After the session, she acted as if nothing unusual had happened between us. She quickly changed in the locker room and quickly went into the sauna, leaving the door ajar. I understood this gesture as a kind of invitation. Without thinking, I wrapped myself in a towel and joined her. I discreetly turned off the surveillance cameras so that I wouldn't have to delete them later. I stopped by my mother-in-law's house. We had some experience already. We knew how to get comfortable. We had a good time. We allowed ourselves a lot of things. It turned out my mother-in-law liked different games. Again, I didn't expect that from her. My mother-in-law remains withdrawn in life, so it's hard to approach her. Despite this, she is truly a wonderful woman. I have tried to make time for her on a regular basis, even at my own expense as we run a business together. Our relationship was secretive, so my wife wouldn't find out. I carefully covered our tracks so that there would be no disruptions. Our meetings were limited to once a week, which allowed us to have fun without any problems. This brings me great joy, and my mother-in-law seems to appreciate it too, as Victoria never refuses our meetings. Gradually, we are getting more and more used to such an unusual vacation. Do you think I am lucky to have a mother-in-law? Write in the comments. Thank you.